So this episode, episode 2, is about kill streaks. Now, kill streaks, you should never be in the mindset of thinking kill streaks are like you need them to win. You don't need kill streaks to win. Kill streaks are always just extra fun and support. You don't need them. And honestly, for that reason alone, I I mean I do run kill streaks, but I mainly run specialist. I talk about this more in episode 3 about perks. So really, you don't need any of these kill streaks, and not that you need them. You kill streaks are irrelevant for winning games because that's primarily what our focus is in this series is winning games. So you don't ever want to be in the habit of, oh, I would have won that game if I got this kill streak, or oh, I couldn't kill that guy because I didn't have this kill streak. I mean, most people don't really think that way, but if you don't have a UAV, like you shouldn't be relying on UAVs. It's like, oh, I can only move around when I have a UAV, or oh, I can only play aggressively when I have a Juggernaut. No, like kill streaks are just there to facilitate your play style, and most of these are completely useless anyway. So we're only, I said this in episode 1, we're primarily going to be focusing on hardcore kill confirmed, just because that's the game mode I play and the one I'm most familiar with, more or less. So it'll also focus point our like how we're looking at these kill streaks. So it's not that like these what I'm saying here is going to apply to every game mode because I'll kind of briefly talk about like how certain kill streaks could be useful here but not in this game mode or vice versa. So let's go ahead and start with the personal radar. The personal radar is one of the best kill streaks in the game. And I'm repeating myself with all of this. I actually recorded this entire thing, and I ended up losing all the footage, so I'm actually re-recording this. So I'm gonna try to cover this more quickly than I did the first time, and hopefully not miss anything that I said before. So the personal radar is good because it's cheap, um, and so when you're so if we're playing kill confirmed, uh, the reason Kill Confirmed is a superior game mode in my opinion is because it has the most diverse gameplay and it encourages rushing and moving around and disincentivizes camping. So if you camp, you're going to lose because you're not picking up tags. You're just probably killing people and that doesn't matter. So it's not that you will be dying constantly, but it's not unexpected for you to be dying. Like, or rather, you're not going on large kill streaks. So why that's useful for the personal radar? Again, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm just going to kill myself so I can get a personal radar, then kill myself, then get another personal radar. That's not what I mean. But what I'm saying is that this will inevitably happen during your gameplay. So the personal radar is cheap to where, okay, you get 3 kills, you pop a personal radar, it's still active. Most people don't shoot personal radars down because they're kind of annoying to shoot down. Um, like with FM, like you have to really go out of your way and like, shoot them. Like they have a decent amount of health for guns without FMJ. Like you have to unload like 1 to 2 magazines sometimes, depending on the gun. And even with FMJ, it's like an entire mag that you have to hit all the bullets for. So they're pretty strong. And they also move around with the target, but we'll talk about that in a second. So personal radars are good because they're cheap. You can spam them. So in a game mode like Kill Confirmed, you're going to be dying, so you're going to be able to consistently basically have the UAV turned on all the time. And in hardcore, you don't have a UAV, so that's useful in and of itself. But the radar finding enemies isn't what's good. Um, I mean, it is. That's not true. So the personal radar, let's just read the description. An escort drone that reveals nearby enemies on the minimap and audibly pings them in the world. So the audible part of that is what's really important. And also the fact that it only pings enemies near you. So it's a bad habit to basically constantly be looking at the map when you have a UAV. You don't want to do that. So the reason the audible part of this is really good is because you can be just looking at your screen and focusing on the game. And then if you hear like there's a little noise it makes when an enemy's nearby. And so you don't even have to look at the mini map. You can just be like, "Oh, okay." So like if you're playing the game, like you'll have a general idea of like, "Oh, I've already been in this direction, so there's nobody there." And then you hear like you're moving forward, right? So then you hear that noise, it's like, "Oh crap, somebody's in front of me." Like most likely. I mean, they could be, somewhere else, but mostly it's like, oh, I hear a ping. I don't even have to look at the map because I heard that noise. Now, I mean, obviously, you're probably gonna want to glance at it because you don't know. Hey, maybe it's two people, maybe it's one. So that's one of the biggest reasons this is good is because, and again, you don't want to rely on this. All this stuff, like I said, all of this is just support. You don't want to be relying on this. This just the personal radar allows you to play more effectively without having to look at the map and move your eyes or do anything extra. So that's the big uh, upside of this. Now, another strange thing, and I'm not gonna lie, I only just recently started using the personal radar. Like I used it before, but not like always. I used to only just run the UAV and the advanced UAV, but then I started using the personal radar because at first I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, the personal radar is just a newbie kill streak that losers run. No, it's actually like one of the best ones in the game. So I I'm finding some inconsistencies with this, but sometimes, because like I don't know if these players are running Ghost or not, because like when you die to them, like you can't see their kill cam, so you can't see like the perks they're using and stuff, and I haven't tested it, but I think the personal radar pings players that are running Ghost. So like when it pings somebody on the map, it like shows the dot and then it like has a little circle that goes around the dot and like expands outward. Well, I think that Ghost shows Ghost users, but it doesn't put the red dot, but it shows that little like ping. I can't confirm that, but if that's actually true, then the personal radar is actually God tier. I haven't 100% concluded that, but that doesn't make the personal radar any less useful. That's just insane if it does, because that's like actually broken. If it just null and voids Ghost. So, um, so again, you want to run the personal radar because it's cheap. You can spam it. People are most likely not going to be shooting it down, and if they are, that's the other thing. If they are actually taking the time to shoot your radar down, that's one person you can get the general idea of where they're at because you're going to be hearing them shoot. You're going to see a rocket shoot up in the air. They're going to be distracted. You can catch them off guard. All those kinds of things. So you got to use these things to your advantage. It's like, okay, well, so what if they shoot my radar down? I know where they're at now. So it's a radar that is working as a radar without being the radar, if that makes sense. So I think I said everything. I spent a lot of time the first time I recorded this talking about the personal radar. So hopefully I try to watch these videos back again to see if I make mistakes or something. But I'm pretty sure I said everything. If not, I'm gonna edit over a voiceover if I'm watching it back and then I like remember something. So hopefully that was everything. Um, the shield turret is complete garbage. I don't even know why this is in the game. Honestly, this should be a field upgrade. Um, I don't even need to say anything about this. It's terrible. Uh, like I'm trying to think that like there are no like tactical advantages or things that this thing allows you to do. It's like, cool. I put a thing on the ground that lets me shoot people. Okay, well I can already shoot people like just with my gun. Oh, well now you can't move. You have to stand still. Okay, so that's not good. Oh, and the bullet velocity on this, like the bullets travel so slowly with this thing that you have to lead the target even if they're right in front of you, you have to lead it so far. It's terrible. The fire rate's slow. Like yeah, it's a one-shot kill, but like all the guns in hardcore are one-shot kills. Again, we're focusing on hardcore kill confirmed here. So it's like there's just I'm over explaining it just to I guess just to explain it to new players that are watching this that want to get good. Like there's no reason to run this. It's literally and plus like the few times I do use it, I think it's a bug. It's not stick drift. Like I have new controllers. Like when this has happened, the reticle will just turn like it'll just move by itself. Like it'll just turn left forever, and like you have to sit there and compensate for it turning left. Like I don't know if it's like a bug where like if you plant it on a sloped surface, it kind of screws with the controls or something. Like I don't know. Like the shield turret is just beyond useless. I don't know why it's here. Like if it was like a two kill streak, it'd be like okay, that's something at least. But like if you're choosing between these, it's a obvious choice. So yeah, whatever. And real quickly, I did this last time. I talked about score streaks, and I talked about score streaks a little more in episode 3 with perks. Um, Never run score streaks. Score streaks are complete garbage in this game. So the way I explained it the first time was that if I remember correctly, if you kill somebody in hardcore kill confirmed, it's 75 points for a kill, and I think it's 25 for a deny, and I think it's 50 for a tag to like a confirmed kill. Maybe it's 25. I cannot remember. I never use score streaks, but that is just so garbage. So it's like you kill somebody, you don't get a full kill, then you have to pick up the tag to get the full kill. It's like, okay, well, that's good at least, but why not just okay, so the personal radar for kills is 3 kills, right? So if you're killing people for 75 score, you have to get 5 to 6 kills just to get a personal radar. So you've doubled almost doubled your kills to get a personal radar. It literally just makes everything more expensive for no reason. It's complete garbage. There's no statistical reason or tactical reason to use score streaks. They're literally just worthless. Just I thought like, oh, score streaks should be pretty good in kill confirmed because like, it's an objective mode. You pick up tags and stuff. No, like if the score values were different, yeah, it might be pretty good, but score streaks are just completely worthless, and we don't even need to talk about them. Now, even in other game modes, and again, I've done very little experimentation with this, but like if you're playing like domination, like the score values for like popping UAV, capturing a domination flag, a hard point, they just don't add up to enough to where your kills would outweigh playing the objective. It just doesn't. It's not good. It's terrible. It literally make if it didn't make everything more expensive, like if the personal radar was 300 score, it's like okay, well, I mean that's still like four kills rather than like picking up tags and stuff. It's like okay, that's at least something. But they literally make everything more expensive, so there's just no statistical reason to use them. So we don't even need to talk about score streaks, but I wanted to add that just because it's kill streaks. Now the counter UAV is completely worthless. I don't even know. I literally don't even know why this is in the game because now if they've had this in other Call of Duties like Modern Warfare 3, and it's like okay, well when you shoot in that game you show up as a red dot on the map unless you're using a suppressor. So it's like okay, counter UAV is kind of useful. It has an innate value there. It's like hey, I can shoot a gun without a suppressor and be fine. But the problem with this is in this game is that okay, first of all that doesn't apply. And we're playing hardcore here, so the only time this is going to be useful is if the enemy has a UAV, and if they do have a UAV, it's quicker just to shoot it down with an FMJ Deagle, which when I talk about class setups and stuff like that in later episodes, I run a Deagle with FMJ, and it literally takes 3 shots to take down a UAV. So it's quicker just to take the UAV down, and it's more effective. So it's like, do you want to keep a counter UAV in your pocket to counter an enemy's personal radar or UAV, or would you rather just shoot it down and run a UAV of your own and just do that? But there's literally no reason to ever use the counter UAV. Like, it's easy to shoot down. It doesn't move. It's pretty big. So it takes like 4 shots, I think, with my Deagle to take it down. So there's no health. Um, so like I'm just reading the description to make sure I get everything. It scrambles the minimap, and it incrementally disrupts the enemy's HUD. Well, that's the other thing too. Like in hardcore, you don't have HUD, and even if you did, it's like, wow, do you really need to know how much ammo you have? Like, it's so hard to read. Do you really need to know that? Do you really need to be able to see like your tactical gauge? Like the HUD in the game is like not necessary. That's why hardcore is playable because you don't need the HUD. You know what I mean? So. This is just a completely worthless kill streak. Never, ever, ever, ever use this. Especially when it's literally the same kill cost as the UAV. The UAV is invaluable. I mean, it's again, I run it. It's the I don't know. In some regards, the personal radar is actually better than the UAV. I think. Because I play for myself. I don't play for my team. I mean, you can't really play for your team in Call of Duty in that regard. Like, you can't be a support player. You know what I mean? So like. The UAV, I mean, yeah, it helps everybody, but it's so easy to shoot down, and it doesn't have that benefit where I was talking about where it gives you the information without you having to look at the mini map. Now, obviously, you just have to use it different. It's not that it's not as valuable, it has a different value. So the UAV scans the whole map, right? And I explained this the first time I recorded this. So let me one thing after another. So the UAV scans the whole map. So you don't the precise location of the enemy isn't what's important. you just want to use the UAV to tell roughly where the enemies are coming from, where they're spawning. So like you're not worried about like, oh, where exactly is this enemy popping up on the UAV? It's like, okay, they're coming from this direction. I don't need to go this direction anymore. I just need to turn around and go this direction, you know? So like the UAV is just to be able to track where the enemy is spawning, where if the spawns have flipped, that kind of thing. And like yeah, I mean like the other the other thing with the UAV, and I think the personal radar does this too. I'm almost certain it does, in fact. Depending on the elevation of the target relative to you. Like if you're downstairs and they're upstairs, you can tell if they're upstairs or downstairs. So a nice thing about this is that even so, if you're looking at the mini map, obviously it's only showing the area that is on the mini map, but it shows the dots of players beyond the scope of the mini map, right? So if you're if you're like, okay, I'm on this side of the map and they're on the other side of the map, and so like for instance, let's say we're on St. Petrograd. So let's say you're on the side of the map with the flower shop, and they're spawning on the bar, like the bar, pool, table, room, whatever it is. So like, okay, so you have a UAV popped, and you're all the way across the map. Your mini map isn't picking them up, all the way across the map like that. But you see one of those dots has the up arrow indicating that there's a player above you in elevation. So it's like, oh, okay, that means they're on the top of the pool, the bar. You know, they're on top of the bar, or maybe they're on the van that leads to the bus station, or whatever it is. So that information right there, the precise location isn't what's important. It's like, hey, I know there's an enemy above, so that means so you can deduce that it's like, oh, hey, there's a guy on top of the bar. So when I approach that part of the map, it's like, okay, I'm gonna be watching the bar and then keeping an eye out for people on the ground. So that's the kind of mentality you have. It's not the preciseness of the UAV, it's the general information that's giving you. So and again, the reason the UAV is good is because it's cheap. You can spam them. And another thing people don't know about this is that now this isn't as useful. It's more of just a convenience thing, like a kind of nice bonus. You can't really plan this, because so if you pop one UAV, it scans the map, or so it just slowly scans the map. If you pop two at the same time, now obviously you can't carry two UAVs. This is if your friendly pops a UAV and then you pop one in the same duration of the first one. The minimap will sweep faster, so you'll get more constant information. And then if you have three active at the same time, it turns into an advanced UAV. So that's cool, but again, the problem with that is that all three of your teammates have to have a UAV, which is extremely unlikely. Like you'd have to really coordinate that, and really it's just not worth all the coordination to do that. Now, it would be nice, like, if all your teammates just ran UAVs just because they did. It's like, hey, you'd probably be getting that bonus just by playing the game quite often. So that's just another thing. Not really important, though. We'll talk about the advanced UAV later. But yeah, the UAV is just really good. It gets shot, but and again, it goes back to the personal radar. If people are going to take the time to shoot it down, if they're not using FMJ, like if it kind of the personal radar you can shoot down without FMJ. The UAV kind of forces you to use FMJ because it's extremely annoying, and especially if you're using a weapon with low velocity. I run an AK-47 mainly, and I used to run it with the I don't want to get into attachments really, but I used to run it where the bullet velocity was high, and to make shooting down UAVs easier. But the base velocity is good enough. For most guns are going to be able to shoot relatively accurately far away targets like the UAV. But if you're not using F and J, it's kind of annoying to shoot one down. You're probably going to go through a whole magazine. All right, so that basically covers it for the UAV. When we start actually getting into gameplay, we'll start talking about applications more thoroughly and that kind of thing. Now I'm gonna do the care package and the emergency airdrop kind of in the same talking point because they're basically the same thing, but they're both worthless. Um, Long story short, the streaks that you're gonna be getting, I mean, you should never be relying on luck. Uh, and that's what the care package is. It's not a for sure kill streak, right? It's just a random, almost always low tier worthless kill streak, because most of these kill streaks are useless anyway. So why would you want to randomly get a useless kill streak? There's literally just no reason to run it. I mean, care packages are mainly just for fun. I was trying to like 3000 IQ this and be like, oh well, you can climb on top of the care package and like, maybe you can like put one here and then you can get into a cool spot or like get easy access to something. No, it's not like that. I mean, like you can, the care package can like block bullets, right? Like I think I think some guns can shoot through it. I'm not entirely sure. But I mean, like, I was like, oh, I could just use it as like improvised cover, and no, it's it's not worth it. So I mean, there's nothing really to say. It's cheap, yes, but it takes way too long. You're gonna be standing there trying to get your care package. I mean, what? The whole process takes like 20 seconds, like 25 seconds, something crazy. Like it's just not worth the time to get some random piece of crap. So like you don't want to be like strategizing over luck, like something that you don't control like that. So I don't need to say anything more. The care package and the emergency airdrop are both worthless. The cluster strike, so the cluster strike and the precision airstrike are equal in the sense that they're both trash. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'll briefly talk about applications for other game modes. So the Cluster Strike is actually one of the better streaks for like domination. Not so much in hardcore, but like if you're playing like regular like domination, not hardcore, like it's one of the best kill streaks in the game. And in that game mode, it is actually like a game changer, like something you kind of want, like you want to actually strive to get. I would actually say that. So the cluster strike is, but so briefly, like with domination, it's like domination. You can literally use that kill streak to just not allow the enemy to capture a flag. Like if you put a cluster strike right on B flag, it's like, well, for the next 30 seconds, they literally cannot capture that flag. You know what I mean? So in hardcore, the reason it sucks is because it's like if for whatever reason your teammates are there trying to like defend it for whatever reason, or if they're just stupid, like you're gonna die over and over because you're gonna team kill. So it's but that kind of goes into just hardcore in general. That's the reason you don't want to use the cluster strike. One of the reasons, because it it really just comes down to the fact that getting kills with kill streaks is unimportant because collecting the tags is what's important. So, okay, cool. You killed somebody with a cluster strike. Well, it's not like you can run up there to the dead person and get their tag, right? Because there's still mortars being shot off. So it's like, do you want to get that tag and risk killing yourself? Because you're most likely going to die before you get that tag. So there's that, first of all. Secondly, you have no control over the volley. So those mortars are just coming in at random. So you're going to be killing your teammates, maybe yourself, and it's just destructive. It's a team killer. It's a suicide button basically. I mean, it's just not good. There's no tactical advantage to it at all. There's just no reason to run it. Like it's getting kills is pointless, and the kills you're getting you have no control over, and it's reckless. And yeah, um, the cruise missile is one part of that true and the other not. So what I mean by that is that the cruise missile is worthless in the sense that it just gets kills, um, but you can control it. It does take a while, and it's cheap. 5 kills, that's not too much. The reason it's useful is because we personally we've played clans where they camp, and there's one clan in particular where one person focuses on getting streaks typically. So this, like when I talk about perks, I talk about this with like kill chain and whatnot. So they camp for kill streaks, and we'll talk about the Juggernaut, but if you get the Juggernaut, you basically win the game. So what they'll do is they'll just try to get a Juggernaut basically. So they'll camp. So if you can, long story short, if you can calculate where that camper is and know where he's going to be, and maybe he's running cold-blooded and whatever, but if you got that cruise missile and it's like, hey, like you're keeping track of him on the kill feed, you're like, hey, okay, this guy's got like a 7 or 8 kill streak now, I've got a cruise missile, I'm gonna kill him and end his streak. Like that's the reason the cruise missile is good, but in general it's garbage. The cruise missile is a niche kill streak. If I see those players, I'm gonna put the cruise missile on, but in general, no, I'm not gonna. It's just a waste of time. Like, why would I mean, it takes so long for the damn thing to get shot, and then you actually be able to control it. Like, the whole process is, again, it takes like 25 seconds to do this, and just for what? Like, maybe 1 or 2 kills? For kills that are going to be across the map where you can't even get the tags anyway because they're going to get denied. Like, don't run the cruise missile unless for a very niche reason. Like, again, like, if you're playing, like, Search and Destroy, the cruise missile is freaking invaluable. It's one of the I mean, I think it probably is the best kill streak in that mode. But I mean, and again, more this is not as relevant as say the chopper gunner, which we'll get to, but something extra you could see with the cruise missile is that like another use is that you have that overhead view, and then the cruise missile shows squares of people that aren't running cold-blooded, right? Enemies. So it's like, hey, you can kind of get a general idea of where the enemies are, like exactly at that moment in time. But that's just like, yes, that's thinking critically and whatnot, but that's just useless because by the time you actually get back to controlling your character, those characters are probably gone, or it's just not. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna run the cruise missile so I can get a quick look at the map. Like, no, it's not worth it for that regard. So that's why the cruise missile is good and also garbage. The precision airstrike is, I think, actually worse than the cluster strike. I don't know. Like, I understand they're trying to do the thing with the goggles and like you actually have to like call them in. Like, that's cool and all, but I mean, this thing is just terrible. You can't control the trajectory to where the planes are going to come in, unlike literally like Call of Duty 4, where you had the triple airstrike and you could just control the trajectory. You controlled where they came in and at what direction. And it's like, so I'm pretty sure the precision airstrike, the planes come into your back where you call it. So like if you're facing forward, like they'll come from your back. Um, so all this is going to do is prevent you from moving forward, and it's going to kill anybody behind you and in front of you. So this is going to kill your teammates. It's going to maybe kill you unless you like back. I mean, this thing kill like, yes, you could say like, oh well, if you have campers in a building, like you can point it at you can place the strike at a door and it can shoot in the door, but that's so niche and not worth planning around. Like, that's just not. You don't even need to think about that. That's so worthless. The fact again, it's just like the cluster strike. You're gonna be killing your teammates, yourself, and you're gonna be getting kills that are across the map that you can't get the tags. So the precision airstrike is terrible. And again, another note, like again, if we're playing team deathmatch, yeah, these perks are pretty good. I mean, or perks, these kill streaks are pretty good. Obviously, kill streaks that just get you kills in team deathmatch, that's good. So but in kill confirmed, it's just you don't even want to bother with it. And then next we got the infantry assault vehicle, which I honestly forget this isn't even in the game sometimes. I mean, in general, you don't even need to worry about this kill streak at all because you literally can't use it in any mode except for ground war and I don't even remember what those maps are called. Arklov Peak and Grozny Raid. I mean, those maps are terrible, and you wouldn't even really want to use a tank on those anyway. But those maps aren't even used except for like 2 game modes, I think. So, I mean, unless you're playing Ground War, it's okay in Ground War, but you really just don't even want to screw with this. But yeah, there's not much more to say because even if you run it, it just gets used as the Wilson in all these modes we're talking about. So there's yeah. So we'll just go on because there's nothing more to say about it. The sentry turret is terrible. There's no reason to ever run this thing, sadly, because the way in Modern Warfare 3, I'm pretty sure it was Modern Warfare 3 or Black Ops, I can't remember. Cold-blooded wouldn't just make you immune to kill streaks. It would just delay their targeting of you. And I don't know why it's not like that in this game. It's such a poor game decision or game design decision. Like I'm just ranting, but all it takes is one person running cold-blooded to make this kill streak completely worthless. Because that one player can just run in front of your sentry turret and just start hitting it. Like it only takes one person running a freaking perk to take it down. It's so stupid. And and the fact that like and again, like in Modern Warfare 2, like if you were putting down a sentry gun, you could see the outline, like it would be gold if you could put it down and it would be red if you couldn't. But in this game, it's like you're just sitting there swatting at the air, hoping the game allows you to put it on the ground. So it's just inconvenient and frustrating to find a place, a tactful place to put it. There's the maps are not designed for a sentry gun. The lines of sight that you can put this thing down in are just terrible. Cold-blooded completely makes it useless. And again, it's getting you kills, sure, but we don't care about that because can I get those tags? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, the sentry gun to me personally would actually be a really good streak because it's like, hey, I can put this sentry gun here on this part of the map. It's covering this part of the map, so I don't need to look in that direction. I can just focus on this direction, and I know that place is clear. But it just cold-blooded literally ruins this thing. Like, I don't, it's so dumb. So I don't really think I need it. Like, it'd be, it would be pretty okay if you could. I think one of the Call of Duties did this. I want to say it was Black Ops 2, but I really just can't remember. Maybe it was Ghost. Um, you could press a button and control this. I think it was Ghost. You could control the sentry gun manually. If that was the case, that would actually give it some use because again, you don't want to rely on the AR targeting because cold-blooded just ruins that. But you could, I don't know, like if you're playing like Search and Destroy or something, this wouldn't be useful at all in Kill Confirm. But if you were using this in like Search and Destroy or like I don't know, hard point maybe. I'm not sure, but like I could see a scenario where if you could press a button and then manually control this thing with a camera, it's like you could use that as like a tactical camera, like in Black Ops One or I guess Modern Warfare 2 now, the new one anyway. Uh, but that's irrelevant. That's just all theory. So yeah, the sentry gun is terrible.